Imagine a world where bears exist solely in captivity or within the pages of books. A world in which you would have to tell your grandchildren about these magnificent creatures that once roamed our forests and mountains, but were instead made extinct due to human inaction. While this may sound like a distant reality, if we keep destroying natural landscapes at the current rate, it may arrive much faster than we expect. And these bears, they represent something so much more than just a cool animal. Their survival is directly linked to the health of our planet, and they are critical for preserving ecosystems around the globe. Many of us love these ecosystems. We love nature, and we love being a part of it. We especially don't want any interactions within nature to turn dangerous, which is why bear habitat conservation is especially important for each and every one of us. And in my studies surrounding bear populations, bear habitats, and human-bear interactions, I found that while bear habitat conservation is insanely important for the bears, obviously, it's also very important for us and the environment as a whole. And habitat destruction can cause disturbances across the globe around different ecosystems. It can lead to more human-wildlife interactions, and it could result in the extinction of an entire species of bears. So today, I'll be talking about how bear habitat conservation relates to ecological balance, reduced human-wildlife encounters, and how it supports long-term bear population survival. And by the end of this speech, I hope you will be as passionate as I am about bear habitat conservation. So let's start how bears relate to ecological balance. So what is ecological balance? Well, ecological balance is the way that plants, animals, and organisms all interact with each other and rely on each other in a way that benefits the ecosystem or environment as a whole. One way to think about it is a food web. If you take one piece out of the food web, everything just unravels and crumbles. The role that bears serve in their food web is keeping prey populations at healthy levels. They control overbrowsing of certain plants, and they help spread seeds via defecation. And according to the National Park Service, the main role that bears serve in the environment is maintaining deer and herbivore populations to control overbrowsing of specific plants. And without bears and their seed distribution capabilities, you would have the same plant planting seeds on the same spot over and over again, which would create a monoculture and over time would deplete the soil. So basically, without bears, the entire ecological balance could collapse as we know it. An argument against rewilding is that these bears pose a significant danger to us. While it is accurate that bears are dangerous, you would rather not run into a bear on a trail, attacks are extremely rare and they're often our fault. Attacks mainly happen when we're encroaching upon their land. It's when we're in outdoor recreational areas such as camping or hiking. It's almost always our fault. It's also due to food and shelter shortages due to a shrinking habitat. And these bears don't want to approach us. It's almost always our fault. The more rational and ethical approach to this problem is not taking bears out of the equation, it's taking us out of the equation. So the next point I would like to make is the correlation between bear habitat conservation and human-wildlife encounters. According to the International Bear Association, with continued encroachment of human urbanization, bears are losing food and shelter and therefore seek it elsewhere, which is why you'll see all these funny videos online of bears climbing through people's dumpsters or garbage cans or cars. It's not that they're just drawn to us for some strange reason. It's that they're hungry and would like a place to sleep. And the Wildlife Conservation Society claims that over the last 10 years, there's been a 35% increase in human-bear interactions as a direct result of habitat loss. So as we continue to tear down forests and ecosystems in favor of new infrastructure like roads or buildings, we're putting bears' lives in jeopardy, or at least we're putting their food or shelter in jeopardy. And some people say that urbanization is necessary for the growth of humanity, that we can't suspend growth just to save a couple of bears. However, this assumes that there's no compromise, and we've proven to ourselves that development and conservation can occur alongside each other. Areas such as the Netherlands or Singapore are models of this. They've successfully incorporated green space and green corridors and nature into their infrastructure, such as nature in roads and buildings. We look to examples like this to prove that humanity and nature must coexist. And finally, we can talk about long-term bear population sustainability. Bears face considerable threats not only directly from us, but from climate change, deforestation, and wildfires. All of these put more stress on them and their environment. And protecting them today is not only just a short-term investment, it's a long-term investment for us and them. In a study by Russell and his peers, he identified that certain risk zones, or priority zones as he says, can be focused on, which would cut down on resources and time, making conservation more cost-effective. And there is, of course, another argument that conservation is too costly, that we don't have the resources for this. However, over time, the cost of doing nothing is equally or more expensive than conservation. And this is due to how fragile ecosystems lead to negative agricultural impacts, a loss of biodiversity, and more human-wildlife encounters. Money spent on conservation is recovered through healthier ecosystems, a lowered risk of attacks, and stronger tourism economies. This is called ecotourism. You would rather go to a city that has green spaces than a concrete jungle. And also, these conservation funds are often an amalgamation of different sources of money, such as public funds, private sources, and volunteers. So, to wrap up, we talked about ecological balance, human-wildlife interactions, and the long-term bear population sustainability. Bear habitat conservation goes beyond just saving one species. It's about the future of healthy ecosystems as a whole. The risk of bears becoming extinct is far greater than just a couple of bears going away. It's the loss of the natural balance in the environment, ecological balance. So please, advocate for conservation programs and policies, and educate your community and friends on bear habitat conservation. Thank you so much.